Hey everyone, we are live. We will give this a minute or so for anybody who might join to hop into the comments. If you are there watching, please say hi. So as you can see, the plan today is to tackle a game of Marvel United. And of course, sneak preview. Hope everybody is doing well this Wednesday. Up here in Minnesota, we just had our traditional, hey, it's spring, no, it's not spring, and back to spring again. It's probably 3 inches of snow, maybe 4 in the last 2 days. And yeah, it finished snowing this morning, early this morning, and basically all of it's gone already. Yay, living here. So, since it's been about a minute and a half, people can hop in when they can. Let me start out. Welcome everybody to Malts and Meeples. I am Petter. I run Malts and Meeples, 10 Minute Marvel, and the Nerdologist website. All of them are about nerdy things, and Malts and Meeples is all about board games. But today, we don't have meeples at the table. We have cool minis from CMON, formerly known as Cool Mini or Not. Today, we are going to be fighting the Red Skull, and doing that with 2 heroes. You can see down here in the corner, we have Captain Marvel and Iron Man. I also have underneath the picture of myself, we have Red Skull's picture. I'm going to be laying out the cards that are played over on this side to show what's going on. So, Marvel United is a cooperative game, and as you can see, it has some kind of cute chibi style figures to it, and the reason I'm showing this off now is that coming up soon, I would guess maybe the Kickstarter launches around the end of this month or beginning of next month. They are doing another version of Marvel United on Kickstarter. So the first one, which hopefully I'll be getting everything in for it, I'll be doing a big unboxing when that happens. But the first one had all sorts of like Avengers characters, much more what we're familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the mutants they had were Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Otherwise, it was basically just Avengers heroes. And I guess Spider-Man as well, but Spider-Man is or was part of the MCU already at that point in time. Now, we're getting the X-Men. So the thought is we're going to be getting another big Kickstarter with a ton of X-Men, and I'm very excited for that because I'm a big fan of Gambit, and so I will 100% be picking that up. I'm also excited for it because it's going to add more variety, and well, the base game is fun. I hope that the expansions add a little bit more depth to it, and it sounds like there are some twists on what has been done already in the X-Men one coming out. So before I get into the gameplay, let's take a look at today's beer. Gave a little tease of it already. But this is Dragon's Milk Solera from New Holland Brewing Company. Dragon's Milk, the first time I had it, sorry, trying to make sure I don't have that foam up on me. First time I had it, I was not a huge fan. At that point in time, I was mainly drinking IPAs. And Dragon's Milk sits at 10%. Or actually, this one sits at 10%. Normal Dragon's Milk sits around 11%. It is a big barrel-aged ale. And this one is also barrel-aged, but it goes through a few different barrels, which is giving it a different flavor profile than the original. So let me take a sip. So this one has less of a bite to it than the original Dragon's Milk does. This is a smoother one with more of like a stone fruit, plum sort of flavor to it. It's very very fruity in nature, whereas the other one I would say is a bit more maybe caramely and have more of a profile like that. I actually like the other one better, even though it does have that more alcoholic kick to it. Just because this one borders a little bit sweet, and the plum maybe like a bit of a really dark cherry, so not like a tart cherry, but like a very just like rich cherry flavor or feel to it comes together, and it's fine but not great. Pretty good. Let me set that off to the side here, and I'll grab it as we continue to play the game. It is 10%, so I don't want to go through it too fast. So Marvel United, as I talked about, I'm showing it off now so that you have an idea of what might be coming up in this upcoming Kickstarter. Now, a little bit more of an idea. In the first Marvel United campaign, there were 80 minis, I want to say, maybe 90 of these little guys. So between heroes and villains, 90 different ones to choose from. Got a ton of options of how to mix them together. And at this point in time, I have 3 villains and 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 heroes, I believe. So playing with a smaller batch than what I'll eventually have. So 10 total, so 1/8 or so, maybe even 1/9 of what's coming. Let's hop into the gameplay here. My goal is to take out Red Skull. However, I can't do that until I start to clear some of these things. Hey. Oh, nice. You're going to be getting your pledge end spears next week for Marvel United. That's awesome. So, start this out. I should draw my hand for each character. We have Hail Hydra. Discard all civilians at locations where the heroes are at. And then we deal 1 damage to each of those heroes. Advance the fear track, 1 for each hero discarded, or for each bystander discarded that way. So this goes up to 2. We lose if it reaches here. Now, I take a damage So I'm going to be discarding a card from each character. Discard. Ooh, man. That's tough. I'm going to discard that one. So I discarded for Captain Marvel one that allows her to move one. For Iron Man, one that allows him to hit twice. So now that the villain has gone, then the heroes go. And the heroes get 3 turns combined between them before the villain goes again. Huh. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I'm going to play this one, which is a wild, so I can do any of the things. I'm going to move her one over to here. Then I draw for Iron Man. I'm going to play his card here that allows him to distribute 2 movement tokens amongst the players. So I'm going to do 1 to each hero, and then he gets to punch at the location he's at. So what we're trying to do is complete at least 2 of these. We could complete more, and once we complete the first one, then the red skull starts going every other turn, or every 2 turns. If we complete 2 of them, then we get to start beating up the red skull. And if we complete 3, we immediately get another card, which can be helpful. So, I've done the distribution, I've done the punch, and since I have a wild here, I can do any of the actions. I can do a heroic action, I can move, or I can punch. So I could punch Madam Hydra, and I think I'm going to do that. So punch on her. And now Captain Marvel's turn. She draws a card. I'm going to give myself a tiny bit more room here. Can't completely see that one. That is 2 heroic actions. So she's going to rescue these 2 and punch that thug. So that uses the punch from Iron Man. I can slide these up a bit actually. And the 2 heroic actions from her. Now, oh sweet, that sucks. Bam happens. So we go around, and every hero or every villain or henchman has a bam effect. So for the red skull, deal 1 damage to each hero at the red skull's location and increase the fear factor by 2. Crossbones, deal 2 damage to each hero at this location. They can take a crisis token. Any hero can prevent this effect by taking 2 crisis tokens. It's a little risky. However, since we've already gotten hit once, hitting twice more would cause us to lose 2 more cards and would KO Captain Marvel. Over here, 1 damage. So Iron Man is going to take his 1 damage. Captain Marvel is going to take the 2 crisis tokens. We don't want to get KO'd immediately. Let me double check one thing in the rules here. So yeah, I don't actually discard the cards, I should say. I put them at the bottom here. Pretty solid. Pretty solid beer. So, now that Red Skull has gone again, it is now Iron Man's turn. Iron Man, unfortunately, this did not turn out... Well, it turned out okay. He gets 3 heroic actions, but because I have this move token from the first action he did, he can move and go here. And with the heroic action, he can do 2 different things. He can either rescue that bystander or take care of this. Since I have 3 of them, I'm just going to take this out, which allows me to pull this off, place that there, and then, since I'm ending my turn there, I can swap 1 card from my hand with 1 card from my storyline. So, I'm actually going to swap this one out, putting that one in its place. So now that's going to be the card that Ms. Marvel uses, or Captain Marvel uses, I should say. She uses 2 move and gets 2 punch. Now, we have Crossbones who needs 6 damage, that's a lot. So she's going to move here with her 2 movement and get in 2 punches on those thugs. Forgot to draw. So then, now I get to use that ability for the end of turn ability again if I wanted to swap a card in the storyline, but I actually think I am okay with where I'm at. I kind of want that movement available to me. Iron Man is going to give us a wild, and he has 2 movement. So, I can really do anything with that wild. I'm going to rescue that bystander, and I can use up to 2 movement. The trick is, if I end up here, I would have to take a crisis token when I start there. If I end up here, and it's a BAM effect, I take 2 damage. Hold on, I forgot to draw my card. And I'm still going to play that way. I'm going to go here, actually. And that takes us now to the Red Skull. The Red Skull is going to move clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4. He places out then one bad guy here, two bad guys up here, and one henchman or thug here. Thug, I guess. These guys are thugs, these are henchmen, those are bystanders. So, we're back to the heroes. Now Captain Marvel is working with a wild. And we're going to play that fist there. So she takes out 2 in an adjacent spot. She leaves 1 punch for her location. I'm going to spend the movement token she got to go over here and use that wild to take care of one of the bystanders. Now it's Iron Man's turn. Oh, hold on. I did that wrong. Iron Man should have lost 2 cards to the discard from this BAM effect for taking 2 damage. There was nobody at the Red Skull's location, so this just advances 2. Nobody there to deal with the BAM effect. So I missed that on the card right there. So now it's Iron Man's turn. I have 2 cards in my hand, and this is why I pulled this card back. I knew I could take the damage and drop to 3. I have a heroic and a punch. Unfortunately, that heroic is going to be wasted here because I just have villains, or thugs and henchmen to punch here. Then we're back to Captain Marvel, and we're going big here. 2 wilds plus that other one. We're going to take out this threat card completely. You can see we're getting close on all of these. End your turn. You may move up to 2 bystanders or thugs in any combination from this location to any other location. So we'll move it down to Iron Man to be able to hopefully deal with it quickly his next turn. But first, we have Red Skull. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is no BAM. However, that backfired on me because here we're adding a bystander and a thug. Here, a bystander and a thug. And this last one, two thugs, a bystander, and then there's one more. And on the Red Skull's sheet it says if a bystander or thug token can't be added to a location, increase the fear track by 1 for each one that couldn't be added. So you can see our countdown is picking up speed here. I'll play this. This allows me to do a heroic. I have 2 wilds. I'm going to punch one here. We have taken out this one. That's unlocked now. However, now every 2 hero turns, the Red Skull goes. Then I still have 1 movement left, and I want to go here. Alright. Now that was one card. Since the red skull went, so now I have one more turn before he goes. And we're going to see this pile. I'm just going to hide away at this point. And we're going to give myself a wild action here. So I'm going to use that wild to move here, and then I have a heroic action. Take care of that. Red Skull goes 2 clockwise. Oof. Thug. 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 And now I'm supposed to add one here. I can't, so that advances there. We have a BAM. Now we're not at a spot with anybody that does BAM effect, but the Red Skull advances it 2. So Iron Man has a wild. We're going to play this. This gives me 2 of these heroic symbols, and I'm going to use the wild for a third, taking care of that. And if you end your turn there, you can draw up to 3 cards. Iron Man has 3 already, so we'll go on to Captain Marvel, who is in a very unfortunate spot. Play that. Get 2 hits on Bob, Agent of Hydra. 1 hit on this thug. And she has 2 heroic actions, but there's nothing she can do at her location. So that means we're back to the Red Skull. Hail Hydra. Discard all bystanders from the location where the heroes are. There are none. Deal 1 damage to each hero. Well, Captain Marvel's easy. Iron Man, easy. And we're getting down here on cards for these heroes. So we need to really probably knock out Bob as fast as possible. And to do that, it's Iron Man's turn. Draw a card. I'm going to drop the double wild. So I move, punch on Bob. He has 4 health. Take him out. Complete this one. Now, even though this is in the 3rd spot, and it says each hero can draw or immediately draws an additional card, this slides down. We're now able to go after Red Skull. Of course, we have to get to him first. Or hope that he comes to us. With 2 wilds, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to use my heroic action and my movement, and then I'm going to go punch to Crossbones and hope that Red Skull doesn't kill me. Of course, looks like he's going to. We have Hydra Insurgency. For each crisis tokens the heroes have, advance this by 2. His effect advances this by 2. And I can either take 2 damage or 2 more crisis tokens. I don't want to get knocked down, so I'm going to take 2 more crisis tokens. Captain Marvel has 4 crisis tokens. This is not an ideal way to play this, but that's how it's going. Fortunately, the Red Skull with 2 players only has 4 health, so we just need to get to him and start hitting him. So 2 movement gets me here, and I distribute 2 punches among any number of heroes. I'm going to distribute both of them to myself and use both of them to hit the Red Skull for 2. Now, the question is, can Ms. Marvel get there, or Captain Marvel get there in time? And I drew the Photon Blast, which is just the card I need. Captain Marvel flies here. She has 1 punch at this location and 2 punches at an adjacent location. Bam, bam. 4 damage to Red Skull, and we've taken him out. This is a very simple game. This game originally released at Walmart before it was supposed to, but that kind of tells you the target audience for this base game. Now, the expansions, like I said, are supposed to add complexity and more going on. And the other villains do add more going on and like twists on what you're trying to do. Red Skull is definitely meant as the introductory mode for this game. So, that's just the initial playthrough. Got to see a couple different heroes. The minis, like I said, are awesome. And bear with me for a minute as I clean some of this up so we can see what is new coming to my table. Don't worry, I'll fully pick this up later. The great thing about game trays is they make the start of this pickup super easy. What to do, just toss stuff into them, and I can get them set off to the side. Hero cards to be sorted later. Move everything out of the way over here. And while this is primarily empty, let me zoom in a little bit. This basically just gives us a chance to see a few more things close up. So, if you read on the Nerdologist website, you'll know I do a series called Point of Order. Point of Order basically talks about the new stuff that I'm getting. These unboxings are kind of like a secondary piece of that. And you'll have heard that I picked up 2 tracks for Formula D. And that is how much I paid for them. These 2 tracks actually came from a garage sale of a local Twin Cities-ite who was clearing out some of his collection. And I went there initially because I knew he had Battlestar Galactica as one of the things for sale. He was doing like hour time slots as to when people could show up. So I tried to get one fairly early on Friday, but obviously nowhere near early enough, as I did not come back with it, nor do I necessarily think that I would have. Instead, since I took up a time slot, I thought I should pick up something, so I went with Formula D tracks. Double-sided. Getting you Singapore and the docks. I'm not gonna unfold all of it. Comes in 2 boards, just because that would be a little bit of a mess to do. I'm actually going to get rid of the plastic, and I will probably end up getting rid of... I'll probably keep this. Maybe get like some elastic type band to hold it in place instead of trying to fit it back into that plastic every time. So I get why they don't do boxes, but this one's not even opened. The plastic just doesn't work super well in my opinion. Huge maps. Really excited to play that game. I also went past my FLGS, friendly local game store, over the weekend. Dropped off a few things to be sold. I was selling Dice Throne Adventures and lost it. Sword and Sorcery. I have been slowly picking up all the Kickstarter stuff and all of its Kickstarter for Deep Madness. I decided it was time to grab one of the epic monsters. This monster is quite epic, or at least quite a mass of tentacles. And quite a confusing one to get back into here. I'll figure that out later. It comes with a few little cards, and that's really about it. Let's go that way, doesn't it? That will be going back in later, since I don't want to waste all of our time. So, this is really the big thing that I got. Now, I just said that I had sold Dice Throwing Adventures. And actually, I'm selling Dice Throwing Season 1 there as well now, currently. However, I am not getting rid of anything really for Dice Throwing. I still have all my characters and everything. The reason I had a Dice Throwing Adventures to sell was I had bought a second one so that I could get all of these. These are the character minis for Dice Throwing Adventures. On the Kickstarter, with a pledge, they cost $60. After that, they were selling them for $70 for these pre-painted ones. And the person who was selling Dice Throwing Adventures was selling these 2 boxes and the game for $70. So it seemed like a good deal to try and pick these guys up from them, and I'm super happy I got them. Like, these guys are so cool looking. A nice Trent. Not all of them necessarily look perfect, but Artificer, And these are all factory paint jobs, so not like somebody painted them themselves. This is something that was mass done for all of them, and there might be a couple of odd looking eyes, but that's about it. I'm not going to bust these open right now, but we did get 2 more expansions for Aeon's End. Aeon's End is a game that I absolutely love, and I picked up more content because I want to get free shipping on what the next game is going to be, and the next game I will definitely be busting into for the first time. This is the other CMON game, Cthulhu Death May Die, by 2 of my favorite designers, Rob Daviau and Eric Lang. And this game just seems like fun. I have other Cthulhu games. I have a number of other Cthulhu games. I have Arkham Horror the card game, and Mansions of Madness, all of which are Cthulhu games. Deep Madness, Elder God type stuff. And I'm sure I could probably look behind me and find at least one more somewhere in there. But I wanted this one as well. I really do enjoy the Cthulhu mythos in terms of how it's been put together for board games. Lovecraft's writing was... I've listened to a few of them on audiobook, and they are not all that exciting in my opinion. Let me pull this closer to myself and get this whole thing busted open. So one of the things this Kickstarter was known for was originally Kickstarter. I picked it up through Miniature Market, who is getting a lot of CMON games, and even some exclusive like Kickstarter type stuff in. Gotta love spot gloss. But as I was saying about the Kickstarter, it was known for having a Cthulhu that was like 1.5 to 2 feet tall. Something huge. This does not come with it. That was a Kickstarter exclusive. I am perfectly fine with that. We have a rule book. I love it when they do this. The rules summary on back. It's always a good idea if you're a game company. Put a summary, put the turn sequence on the back. Or if you don't have it on a separate sheet. We have this tracker. So it has the Cthulhu Death May Die, but also has, basically this is for tracking when the bad guy is going to come out. Thought it might be bigger, but this is the stack of everything to be punched. We have the different rooms, a ship it looks like, tokens, fire, health, all sorts of things in here. I'm not going to bust this open, but it looks like there are 4 sheets worth of stuff in there. We have our characters. And there are quite a number of these. Like, I'm assuming there's more than just characters in here, but if that's all characters, that's a ton. Which, I mean, I won't complain about a ton of different characters to play. Let me slide this box up too so you can see everything that's in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, Lizzie Borden, 5, 6, 7, 8, Rasputin 9, 10 different characters. We also have these boxes that are for minis, or not so minis. Let's bust open one of them here. So you can kind of see how the inside of the box looks. You have cards, tokens, and then the miniature. And it looks like some cultists. There. They have this taped shut. Or I just bad it. They have it taped shut. Ish. So, the king in yellow. Because technically you're not supposed to say his name. That is just a beautifully done mini. Ends of the tentacles are a little bit wobbly, but not bad. And, I mean, considering how much details on those tentacles, it's understandable. Drop the punch tokens and cards back in. Put the piece of cardboard back in for right now. And we also have these different episodes. Tells you what is in there on the back of the box. And so this first one, Season 1, Episode 1, is called Blasphemous Alchemy. From what I know, these don't really make a complete story, but that's okay. I have a nice little box sleeve here. They have this ready to travel. We have our heroes, and we have monsters, as well as some cards. And don't worry, I did say this was from Cool Mini or Not. So underneath that thing of monsters, we have a whole nother thing of monsters. Let me see. That's actually nice. This is something, again, more places take note of. This tells you how the characters go in the box. Like, that helps so much if I don't have to try and guess where everything goes. Well, let's see. How well does this sleeve do? Got it back on. Dropped them. You can drop them in. We have another stack of minis. That's all I'm going to bust into for now. I obviously left Cthulhu, but if you get the game, you can find out what Cthulhu looks like yourself. I'm not going to be responsible for any madness that may befall you due to my unboxing this. So that's Cthulhu Death May Die. I think I got like a third of the way through explaining why I picked this game up, why I needed or wanted another Cthulhu game. And the big reason is that this is a dice chucker. Like the other ones are definitely dice chuckers, but they have, well, two of them are Arkham Horror and Mansions of Madness, but they have more going on than that. Well, this does as well. This is much more of a pure dice chucking sort of game. And finally, this one is out of its shrink and honestly about as heavy as Death May Die. But it's in a quite different sized box. Probably one of the hit games of 2020, I would say. Lost Ruins of Arnak. Now, this is not necessarily the style of game I would normally go for a lot of the time, because it's a Euro game. There's deck building in it, there's a few things going on, but it's a worker placement type of game. And the deck building piece is what drew me in, plus the theme. I love kind of that Indiana Jones style theme to it, and just interested to see whatever can happen. So why does this one weigh as much? I mean, we have a decent sized stack of cards, some tokens. I like how big these meeples are. Little catalog from CGE. Rule sheet. This is, like, thus far, this is my only real knock of the game is there's no cardboard on either side, and it was so loose in there that the top one's bent. We have our kind of round order sheets and different actions. Chunky rulebook, or big rulebook. A lot to see in there. I always like it when they do this as well, so I know how much I should actually have of everything. And then we get down here to some stickers, but really the heavy part of the game. And unfortunately, the punch board, decent thickness, not great. You can see kind of a wobble to it. Like, these tokens are certainly pretty normal. We have our nice campsites here for the different colors. I'm not going to pull everything out because, as you can see, I haven't actually punched. That was the first thing I intentionally punched out of there. Everything else has just kind of fallen out, which in some ways is kind of nice because that means that they're cut through well enough. I'm not worried then about this top layer and bottom layer image tearing as they come out. So that is a nice thing. I'm excited to get this one to the table. I've heard so many good things about it, and I watched it played over on the Glory Hound YouTube channel. So if you want to check out how it's played, I'm not sure when I'll get this to the table, because I can play it solo, but I might want to try it multiplayer first. So we'll have to see when that gets to the table. But with that, I mean, that's a lot to talk about. And honestly, hopefully coming up here, I don't know what I'm going to have for any unboxings coming up here for a little bit. The next thing might be Marvel United. More of that stuff coming out. I'm not sure when that's hitting the US and when that's starting to ship. But they were talking about the end of March, or actually, it might even be about now where the ship would be getting in. And then hopefully by the end of March, they could start shipping stuff out. I've seen some people getting stuff, but I'm not sure if that's in the US or elsewhere around the world. But when I do get the Marvel United stuff coming in, you can be for sure that that following Wednesday, if I can make it that long, will be when I not punch out, but open up all of that. I will probably show everything really big and then zoom the camera way in so that we can see all the minis, all the different characters, and just kind of call them out and see what some fun ones look like to play with, because there are some that I'm very excited for in there that are pretty goofy, like Beta Ray Bill. But as I wrap up and grab my beer again, I just want to thank you all for watching. I hope that you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out. Every Wednesday at 8 Central Time, my goal is to go live with something board game related, whether it's unboxings, the playthrough of Marvel United that I did here. Last Wednesday I played all 3 of the Clever trilogy. The Roll and Writes, Ganz schön clever, Doppelt so clever, Clever Huck Dry. And yeah, there will probably be more Roll and Writes that I play. Anything that I can kind of play solo is likely to show up on here. And I mean, Dice Are on Adventures, Anne's End, Lost Ruin of Arnak, and Cthulhu Death May Die are all games that can be played solo. So who knows? We might see one of those coming up soon, as long as it doesn't take up too much room on this table. But beyond that, if you want to find the other stuff that I do, I have the Marvel podcast, 10 Minute Marvel. Can't speak. A Marvel podcast called 10 Minute Marvel, where I talk Marvel news and then go into a topic for the day. It might be something like, recently I talked some about the history of the Darkhold because of WandaVision. I also am putting articles up every weekday over on nerdologists.com, where I talk about board games, movies, TV shows, anime, role-playing games, writing, any nerdy thing under the sun. Yeah, so it's at least 5 articles a week. Most of the time, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there will be additional articles for Tuesday for the podcast, Wednesday looking at a Kickstarter in my Back or Brick segment, and Thursday I will post this video over on nerdologists.com as well. If you are enjoying the content, and the website has been around for a whole lot longer, which is why I started this now, I have set up a Patreon over at patreon.com/nerdologists. You can find the link in the description. And if you enjoy this content, want to help it improve the cameras, lighting, sound, whatever it might be for this, it might also just be getting more games to show off on this channel, you can support me there. I have a few different reward tiers, and if that's something that you're enjoying this content and want to help support it financially, please do so. But you can also help support this channel and the website simply by subscribing, giving this video a thumbs up. With how YouTube's algorithms work, that means that my videos will start to show up in some of those suggested ones as more people watch it, more thumbs up. And yeah. With that, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for the comments, and I'll be back next week for another Malts and Meeples. Bottoms up.